Hello, everyone. This is Murray Voth here from RPM Training. I'd like to welcome you to the annual Automotive Retailers Association annual general meeting. I have the opportunity and the privilege of being a member, and I have the opportunity to present a short webinar today to encourage you, to challenge you, and to give you a few things that you could take away and use in your businesses. I'm going to be sharing my screen at this point now that I've said hello, and get the PowerPoint going so that you can see what is going on in front of us. So RPM Training stands for Results, Performance, and Mastery, working with one shop owner at a time and getting them to have the results, the performance, and the mastery that they want, the profits that they need in their business. So welcome everybody to the AGM. And I know that it's maybe not quite as much fun as it was last fall in the Okanagan, but I am in the Okanagan, so greetings from a cloudy Okanagan day to all of you. I want to congratulate all of you on another year, and whether it's your calendar year, your fiscal year, but it's been another year since the last AGM, and congratulate you on the fact that we're still all here and surviving, if not thriving. I want to thank all the board members and chairpersons for their leadership and for their efforts to improve our industry. I would also like to say a special thank you to all of the ARA staff for their hard work and their exceptional service, how they were able to shift gears when the pandemic started. Even though many of them were working from home, they provided so much information, doing surveys. And so thank you to all of you at the ARA team for what you provided for us. And then of course, I want to thank all of you as ARA members for being members and for participating in the improvement of our industry. So thank you. Question for you. Did you have a good year? Has it been a good year since the last AGM that we had? Statistically, very rough numbers for the industry in Canada. 30% had a fantastic last year, this last 12 months. 30% stayed about the same, and 30% were worse than last year, and 10% did not even reopen or might not be open by the end of 2020 if they currently are still open. So these are some good news and then some challenges. I am really pleased to report that of all of my clients, and I coach 50 clients currently, everybody is open, everybody is thriving, and on average year to date, they're all still running a 10% net profit. Of course, some of them are way higher than that, but we've actually been able to manage through this pandemic and be profitable, pay our people well, keep everybody employed, and so we're all very proud of that. Many of you might be riding high after a great summer of sales. Some of you have been very, very busy this summer. Maybe it's been a great summer of subsidies, some programs out there that we were able to take advantage of. And maybe some of you are just relieved that you've made it this far through the pandemic, that you're healthy, your family is healthy, your staff are healthy, your clients are healthy, and that you've been able to maintain your business in a reasonable fashion, right? Might not be profits to write home about, but everything is going well. So we're all grateful for wherever we have been able to be at this time. The question that comes to my mind though, because everything is constantly changing, is are you prepared for the unknown? Now, interestingly enough, there's always unknown every day we wake up, even when we're not in a pandemic. When we wake up, there's all kinds of unknowns, but somehow we seem to think that everything's controllable. Well, I think we need to think about this all the time, pandemic or not. And the question that I have for you is, are you controlling the things that you can control so that you can focus, so that you can face the things that are out of your control? One of my personal philosophies is working at what I can control so that when unexpected things happen, hopefully I can be prepared to deal with them. So some questions for you, a challenge to all of you that are listening to this webinar. Are you paying yourself what you deserve? If what you pay yourself what you would pay a full-time manager to take your role or not? Do you have a highly paid technician who takes more take-home pay than you do? Are you paying your staff what they deserve? Are they at the higher levels of the pay scales for service advisor, for technician, for shop help, for car jockey, for bookkeeper, right? Are we the place to work at because we're so profitable that we can pay the best wages? Is your company making a profit? I mentioned that as a group, averaging 10% net rolling 12. That might not be that impressive, but that's 3% above the industry average of 7% during the good times. And like I said, about half of the group is running 15% or better on their net profit. Fourthly, how's your stress level? It isn't all just about money. How late are you working? Do you get to come home for dinner? Do you have key staff in place so that you can come and go as you need to, or even as you please? What's your flexibility like as an owner? And is your succession plan in place? You know, as young as you might be, as much as you might be enjoying the business, as much as you're making a profit, it's possible that you haven't thought about starting with the end in mind. Is there a key family member that might buy that business, or a key employee? You know, is there an outside buyer? Is the business prepared for a sale? Could it run without you if you needed to sell it? But maybe more importantly, during this time, a question I should ask that's maybe a bit more empathetic is, do you feel like you're alone in your business, in the industry? Do you feel like you're the only one in the business the employees don't understand? It's just you against the world, you against the troubled customers, you against the parts company, you against the software companies, you know, just all by yourself. Well, I have to tell you that you are not alone. Right now, if you're watching this, you're a member of the Automotive Retailers Association. You have all your different reasons for why you're a member, and I think it's important to reevaluate those. I think there's a lot of wise, smart, hardworking members of this group. And as you get to know each other, spend time with each other, come to board meetings, come to training sessions, come to the networking sessions, you will learn things from other people. And like I said before, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what you're going to pick up at a session. I learn every day from people around me, from the clients that I'm serving, and we can always improve our businesses together. On top of that, join what's called a performance group or a dealer 20 group, or what mine are called mastermind groups. Myself, some of my competitors, we have these groups. I've got a couple of spots left in some of mine if you want to reach out to me, but look for them. They're all over North America that you can join and be part of a group of really hardworking, smart people that can give you ideas, solutions, because it's possible that out of 50, 60, 100 other people, they've been through what you're going through. They have solutions. They have ideas on how to solve the problems for you. So after the challenge, let's just talk a little bit about how we can improve that. All right. You know, I just talked about how would it feel like to have a group of shop owners around you that understand where you're coming from and can share your pain with your challenges. So here's one of the things that might seem unknown, but I think there's some data that I can share with you about the future of the aftermarket. JD Power and Associates does a survey annually for the long-term CSI study. And this year they said that everybody was higher. The whole industry was a little bit higher in the eyes of the driving public. For the first time in a long time, a dealership, a new car dealership, took first spot. We have the Napa Auto Pro. Some of you in this room are that. But the rest of you who are independent aftermarket shops are number 3. They don't show it on this graphic, but where my arrow is where all of us, but for the majority of us, actually lie. So we are actually at the top end of that spectrum, which is great. However, this study does present us with some challenges. When you take a look at the 4 to 7-year-old vehicle category, that's the category of vehicle that people will still invest in. They will still spend significant money in a 4 to 7-year-old vehicle to keep it going. They still see it as something that's valuable, that they can use. And, you know, to be real, many of them are still making car payments on them. The challenge is in that 4 to 7-year-old category, new car dealers now have 60% of the market share of that in sales dollars. In 1999, we had 95% 20% of that market share. I know all of you have heard horror stories of the bad customer service or the bad client experience at many new car dealers, but I think enough of them are doing enough of the right things that they are taking our market share in one way or the other. 20% of the market share of the 4 to 7-year-old vehicle is split between the dealer and the aftermarket, and then 20% will exclusively come to the aftermarket. So we've gone from 95 down to 20% of that, maybe a portion of the other 20. But it's really interesting to find out about that 20% that splits their business between the dealer and the aftermarket. It's not a split that's even. They're taking the high profit, the high dollar repairs back to the dealer because they can leave the car for the day if there's a courtesy car or a shuttle or something like that. But when it comes to the fast, quicker services like an oil change or a wheel changeover, they're actually going to the aftermarket because their dealer can't fit them in within 2 weeks. Now, they don't say that to you when they phone, but just think about how many people are coming to you that are cheating on the dealer to come to you and not bringing you the rest of the work. But let's look at that in a more positive light. They are coming to you. So there's some ways that you could market to them and engage with them that maybe you could steal them away and make them loyal at your place. One of the ways the dealers is doing this is with two particular features that create what's called a halo effect. A halo effect is something that when you have an experience, a service experience, and it could be neutral or it could be even slightly negative initially, there could be one thing that happens that's very positive or even very negative that has a halo on it, shines a light on it, and makes the whole experience seem really good or really bad. A quick example of one that happened to me on the weekend, choosing a restaurant, looking at the restaurant. They didn't have, click a button to make a reservation. They just had, an email address, which wasn't hyperlinked, so it didn't click. So I went to their Facebook page. It said, don't message us for reservations, please email us. So I had to type the email in, 12 o'clock, noon, sent them an email, phoned to find out if we had a table. And they said, oh no, we've been booked all weekend for weeks. And I said, well, it would have been nice if you would have replied to my email and let me know so I could make another choice sooner. Now that taste of that bad experience has now got me thinking, do I even want to go to that restaurant, right? They couldn't take the courtesy of answering their email within a 6-hour time frame to answer my questions so that I can maybe make a reservation for next weekend. Now, on a positive note, what the new car dealers are doing is two things. One is the car is cleaner when you pick it up as a customer than when you dropped it off. In most cases, they're washing the exterior, and in some cases, they're actually vacuuming the inside front compartment of the vehicle. So that means that I might come in for service, and the service might not make the car run or feel any better by its own, but the fact that the vehicle is clean makes it feel like it's running better. And the other one is the follow-up. They're either using a phone follow-up or a text or an email personalized follow-up, and that is making the halo effect of that experience being very positive. So even if their experience was neutral at the dealership, the fact that somebody took the time to call them and follow up and ask them about that experience raised their view of that experience because of that. So let's talk a little bit about how we can use those two things to our advantage in the aftermarket and get some of that business back. Using follow-up phone calls. It's about the client experience. Did we meet their expectations? How do we know if we don't find out? It's about quality control, finding out how well we as a team did. How many customers actually complain in Canada when they have a bad experience? Guess what? 1 out of 10 in some markets, 2 out of 10 in some markets. That's about it. Most people just give us a bad review, but most likely they just never come back. So that's another reason why follow-ups are important. Here's a script for you. Please don't use the script exactly as I've written it. You need to do this in your own words, and you need to call or text or email, but it needs to be sincere and authentic from you at your own company. But here's the basic things that you need to do and say. Number 1, ask if it's a good time now when you call them. Number 2, say thank you. Thank you for that business last week. And again, the guideline for this is to phone between 4 and 7 days after their service experience. Number 3, ask them how the vehicle is performing. Number 4, ask how they felt they were treated or how their experience was. And then number 5, ask how could we improve that experience. It's very simple and people actually appreciate it. Don't do this during business hours. None of us like to receive phone calls after hours. Do it during business hours. If you get a voicemail, just leave them a message. You don't have to call them back. There is a move to using email and texting for this, but we have to line it up with people's preferred method of communication. If we use canned emails or canned text, the effect is very minimal. They have to be customized. So the email or the text should reference my name and my vehicle and the date of the appointment that I was in, so that I can then reply to that in terms of my answers to your questions. All right. So find the staffing, find the method, find the tools, and start follow-up phone calls. And in time, you will be able to say thank you. People will appreciate it. You will pick up on some bad experiences that you can fix, maybe some warranty items or comebacks before they happen, and solve problems before it becomes a negative review, right? Building your business one customer at a time. Cleaning the vehicle. So this is a picture in spring when we had our summer tires put on one of our vehicles. And I came home and my wife said to me, who in the world changed those wheels? Because how dirty are they? They couldn't be bothered to take the time to clean them. Now you might say, well, that's such an inexpensive job. I don't have time to clean them. And what do people expect? Well, guess what people expect? People expect clean rims and dressed tires. And the thing is this place was way too cheap. I didn't go there because of the price. I went there because of a brand that I was trying to follow that would maintain my warranty. But I went to another place now in the wintertime, and without asking, the wheels were clean, the rims were clean, and the tires were dressed. And they don't have the staffing and the space to do washing and vacuuming, but even a little simple thing like that. And they were $15 more for that service than the other place. And that doesn't bother me whatsoever, because the wheels look good when I got home. Very simple things, folks. Is the vehicle just a little bit cleaner than when it was dropped off? So let's go through a few other best practices that the survey has found out. Parking. New car dealers win over us with their parking, usually because they have very large parking lots. But even all of us, even if we don't have those fancy buildings and fancy dealerships, we can focus on good signage. Rather than negative signage that says no parking, have positive signage. Client parking, right, at your shop. Or if you have very tight parking, make sure that one spot is open all the time. If somebody pulls in and parks in it to drop off their car, after you've taken their keys and talked with them, move that car to another spot and open it up so that it's open as much as possible throughout the day. Beverages. Let's get away from that tar that sits in that pot on the burner all day with the powdered milk, and let's get a single serving coffee maker. Have a little refrigerator with real milk, real cream in it. Have some bottles of water in there. I've got a couple of group members that leave custom printed water bottles in their clients' vehicles when they leave, one in each of the 2 cup holders between the seats, so that they don't fight over who gets the bottle of water. If you have shuttles and courtesy vehicles, identify them. Some people are doing a full wrap, but you don't have to, but have your company name, your phone number on it, your website on it, so that people know that you have them. It goes around the community. It markets for you that you have shuttles and courtesy vehicles. One of the ways that you can handle the scheduling of these is by asking people when they make an appointment what their transportation needs are. So if one of you was to phone me today to make an appointment for next week, Wednesday, I would be able to ask you at the end of our conversation, so what are your transportation needs that day? And you might say, well, I might need a ride, or you might need a courtesy car. Well, that means I have a week or more to schedule it out, as opposed to you asking me for a courtesy car at 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. And then fourthly, Wi-Fi. Now, I know with the pandemic, we're probably not encouraging people to hang around or to wait, and that's probably best practices. But if you do have Wi-Fi for people and they do have to wait a little bit, or maybe they're waiting outside, make sure that it's easily identified. You can have a sign on your counter that looks somewhat like this. Now, this is a sample of my own, but your shop would be the same. Have the title, complimentary Wi-Fi, the network, rename the network from the Shaw, Rogers, TELUS, that long complicated number, and put a very basic name, very basic password. And then invite people to follow you on the main social media streams. Check in and follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, or LinkedIn. That way, people who are into those platforms will be interacting with you and with your business while they're using your Wi-Fi, and that's marketing as well. Many of you may be familiar with your Google listing, your Google My Business page. I'm discovering that many shop owners know very little about that, and I really want to implore all of you to understand how this all works. All right, on my screen is a shot of my desktop, and you can see the arrow there pointing to the little dots, which are the Google apps. Once you click on those apps, it looks like this, and the arrow is pointing to a little awning with a G, which is the Google My Business site. That's your site. You need to make sure that you have a Google account, that you've been verified by Google, which involves waiting for an actual letter from them to verify that, which is kind of ironic. And make sure that you own this site, that you're listed as the owner of it, and begin to work with it. When you click on that Google My Business, it will look something like this. This is mine. On the left, you'll see the menu of all the different things that you can use with the Google My Business. There's insights. There's putting your products and services there. Many SEO and social media experts are saying that Google My Business is as important, if not more important, than your website today. So it's important that you learn how to use it. Those insights will tell you the search terms people are using. It will tell you how many times you've been searched. It'll tell you if people have gone to your website, if they're calling you, if they're looking for directions. And then by posting, you can actually improve people finding you in your marketplace and get back some of your market share. So again, I encourage you to look up Google My Business. A few other best practices. When we meet together in our mastermind groups, we use an app that I've had created called Business Results Analysis Tool. We measure about 32 key performance indicators, and we work at implementing the changes that will improve those numbers and improve our bottom lines and the money that's going into the bank. As you can see on the screen here, this is a before shot of 6 key performance indicators: net profit, mechanical gross profit, sold hours per technician per day, sold hours per technician per day, average work order size, and parts to service ratio. Our industry average for sold hours per technician per day is only 4.2 in Canada. This shop already before training is already doing much better than the average. After 18 months of working with the rest of the masterminds and working with me, implementing the changes in their business that they need to. And by the way, folks, it's hard work. It's not necessarily easy. It's not silver bullets, but it's very rewarding. You can see that they show up with 22% net profit. Mechanical is 56, which is your parts and labor component of it. Sold hours per technician at 8.1, sold hours per work order at 3, average work order size is up, and then parts to service ratio actually dips a little bit because there's a lot more parts being sold on this mix and this shop. Now, did they do this by raising their rates? Maybe a little bit, but most of it was by systems. What is the best way to look after a vehicle? What is the best kind of inspections to do? When, how do you sell the information that's on the inspections? How do you defer work that we choose not to do today and defer that to another appointment? So these are the things that we work at, and I'd encourage you to investigate that with myself or some of the other automotive business coaches that are available in North America. One of the other things I want to leave with you is a small method of improving your sold hours per work order. We have this tendency in our industry to ask the driving public when they drop off their car, would you like anything else? Or is there anything else? Imagine a dentist asking that. No, I don't want any more. Please let me out of this chair. We're asking the wrong question, folks, and we need to learn to ask the right questions. But before I tell you what the right question is, let me run another scenario by you. Let's say, for example, you are running the service counter that day. Customer comes in to drop off their car. you go over their concerns, and then you think the conversation's over. And then when they get to the door, they turn around and say, oh, by the way, can you add that, and that to my work order? And then they leave. You don't even have a chance to follow up with them and say, hey, hang on a second, I'm going to need the car a little bit longer, or I need authorization for further inspections or further testing, right? Well, the question that I want to teach you to ask solves that problem, as well as gets the correct answer from the client. And it's actually very simple. Dear customer, do you have any other concerns with your vehicle, such as, and then you drop several hints. There's a few on the screen here. Do you have any lights that are burnt out? Any noises that are out? Any leaks? And maybe the next appointment would come in and you would say to them, how's the wipers? Are they streaky? Any vibrations or funny feelings when you drive the vehicle? Any warning lights on the dash? So when you ask somebody, do you have any other concerns with the vehicle, such as, and then you give them some hints, they go, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this or about that. They need their memory jog so that they remember to tell you those other pieces of information. The beauty of this is, everybody, is that this exercise alone gives you 0.4 sold hours per work order. And the client believes that you have done them a favor and that this is great customer service and a great experience for them, because you've helped them remember what their vehicle needs, but you've also done it in such a way where you show concern. The feedback on this exercise or this role play is that the client felt like you were looking after them. You're the expert on vehicles, and you're asking them, do they have any other pain points? Similar to the dentist. If a dentist said, would you like anything else? We would say no. But if the dentist said, do any of your teeth hurt? Do you have any sensations that are hot or cold? Do any of your gums itch or feel sore, right? So when a dentist asks for symptoms, then you go, yeah, you know what? I've got this one tooth that's really sensitive to hot and cold. And at that point, they're going to look into that for you, right? So the whole idea is that we're empathetic, we're showing that we're listening, and they feel served better, and we actually get good business from it, and it improves our bottom line by just doing a simple thing like that. So another great best practice is, of course, to take training. I offer something called a SMART course. It's my service management and results training. It's live, online, interactive, starting November the 10th. 2020 is my next edition that's coming up. It's run in 8 3-hour sessions with workbook and everything. And this industry does, the top shops in the industry do take training, but research is showing that in North America, only about 20% of the aftermarket shops take any training of management and or even technical training. So I'd like to encourage all of you to do that. One of the ways to find out more is to go to www.rpmtraining.net. See the course lists there, as well as Murray Voth at rpmtraining.net is how you can contact me. I want to thank everybody for their time and their attention today. Thank you for attending the AGM and participating in the Automotive Retailers Association. And please remember, participate, learn, hang out at the networking sessions, and participate in the training that they offer of all different levels. That's a great association. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.